to the back.
Hey guys, it's General Lifesbane. I'm me, you're you. Happy Easter. So what we're gonna do is I wanted to talk about some things, kind of like what everybody's been talking about, Wrath of the Lich King. So I wanted to cover some things maybe they're not covering yet, like zone leveling, dungeon leveling, see what I got, professions, talents, dual talents, and the phases of release. Yeah, so I mean there's been some videos put out there, like, you know, months ago, even up towards a year ago, where they were, you know, but it's like, dude, like how could you really actually discuss anything except just to like blow your load and kind of, you know, jump on the high train early, right? So anyway, so zone leveling, and I kind of grabbed some notes here. Hold on a second. Zone leveling. So you can go to Northrend at 68. Borean Tundra is like super fantastic to level in, and I'll pull up a map here. Oops. Here you go. So I'm pulling up this map, Borean Tundra, and then here's all your different flight paths for the Alliance and for the Horde. I definitely recommend doing Borean Tundra because, one, the quests are really cool in this zone. The other reason is that's going to open up the flight path needed to go to Caldera, which is where the Nexus is. So yeah, do these quests in there, and that's if you're not using the skip that I'll talk about later with dungeons and stuff. You can actually you can get out to Caldera, die, and then res in Caldera, skipping the entire chain that you would need to get the flight path. So finish Borean Tundra, you can go zoom all the way across. I usually skip Howling Ford, and unless I am trying to get the quest for Utgard Keep. So go all the way across, grab the flight pass at Grizzly Hills, have fun. That place is a great place, and great scenery. You can do all those quests, finish those ones up. Well, this is where you get a choice. You can either do Zoldrak right above, which is very like Duskwood, like, you know, it's dark, and I'm not a fan of Duskwood. I'm not a fan of Zoldrak, so I kind of bounce across here and knock out Storm Peaks because, one, it's gonna get you access to the Ulduar area and all that stuff that you needed there. So then there's another choice. So you can actually do the Storm Peaks thing, or you can go over to Sholazar Basin and do those. By then, you know, you're pretty much at 80 or really dang close to it. So that's what zone leveling is for me. The next thing I like to talk about is, I'm gonna grab my phone here, and that is dungeon leveling. Let me get a second here. I think dungeon leveling starts with fuck if I know. It should be Utgard Keep. There's the Nexus. Utgard Keep. Yeah, okay. So Utgard Keep, you got a level requirement of 67. So a lot of these things, like if you're leveling up through, especially if you're a DK and you're leveling up through Outlands and stuff, this is where you can bounce over there, okay? The looking for group tool that we'll talk about later is sort of 68. It's located in the Howling Ford. There's 2 quests. The disarmament from Defender Mordoon, and it's located right outside the dungeon. And then there's a quest chain that I was talking about in Howling Ford, where you do Hell Hath Frozen Over, if Valgard falls, rescuing the rescuers. Then you kind of leave that little starting zone, go to Fresh Lakes from Scout Valerie, and that takes you into Utgard from Defender Mordoon. So it's about total time, I guess it was about like 10 minutes, and that'll be like 2 quests that you can finish really easily through that dungeon. Alright, so then you go over to the Nexus. The Nexus is level requirement 68, but looking for group is 69. So these are going to be like really easy to do. You can do multiple times. Location is Koldara. Remember, we were talking about the Borean Tundra. Like if you knocked out that zone, you would open up the flight path to Koldara so you can have access to the Nexus. A lot of great quests there. It's super easy to do. But there's that skip. So if you go up to should be right over here. So this is like where the quest chain starts, and you would actually start it down here where the Alliance start off. But if you go across and you swim across this little bit, there's a spot over here where there's a rift, and you can die in that rift where you're just like you're swimming, you're running out of breath. And that glitch, once you die there, much like the skip from shit, I don't even forgot, down in Minethal Harbor, just like a skip like that, you die, you res at the graveyard, and boom, you can grab that flight path and skip all the chain. Recommended. Whether it's going to be in the game, I don't know. It might be fixed. It's definitely something I'm going to look into. Anyway, so the Nexus, there is 4 quests. Prisoner of War, postponing the inevitable, have they no shame in the quickening. And then you got the quest chain, a time for heroes upon arrival, and this is what I'm talking about as soon as you land in Valgard. The siege, death from above, plug the sinkholes, and that's all in that area, right? Well, then at that point you can stop, because then you go into the inn, and there's a gnome called Midge, and she will give you the Nick of Time quest, which will send you to the northwest side and start opening up that flight path, which is a few more quests. That'll probably take you up to 2 hours, so kind of like if you're just questing anyway and that's your thing, cool, do it. But if you're wanting to get into that dungeon, then I would definitely recommend the skip. Otherwise you're going to end up missing that entire content. There is a great, so I'm a warlock, so there's a great wand out there called the Wand of Shimmering Scales that will be an improvement for your tier wand that you got here in phase 4. Alright, so then Azul Narub is a level requirement of 70. It's in Dragonblight. Looking for group requirement is also 70. There's 2 quests, Death for the Traitor King, and don't forget the eggs you can get right from a Nerubian outside the dungeon, I believe. Really easy. Let's just kind of speed this up a little bit. The Old Kingdom on Kat is 71. LFG is 71. Also Dragonblight, 2 quests, the Faceless Ones and Funky Fungi. You can get from a Savage Cave Beast within the dungeon. That'll drop. Also look for loot if you're a caster for Mantle of the Echoing Bats. It's a great haste shoulder. Granted, like if you're in tier 5 gear and stuff like that, you're not going to want to break up the set, but I'm just saying, like, this is if you're not, and these are really great pieces, as a caster as any of the casters. And we'll talk about in talents, haste really becomes a ticking time bomb, so to speak, because haste now affects your dots and every tick and stuff. So this is where it becomes super important. All right, back to Draktherin Keep. Level 72, the LFG is 72. It's on the border between Grizzly Hills and Zuldrak. There is a quest chain that takes several hours, so I definitely recommend skipping that and don't worry about those dungeon quests in this one. Loot is the Robes of Novos to look forward to. That'll take you to Violet Hold. And you know that it's up in Dalaran, so it's not a big deal. Level 73, LFG is 73. The quest chain starts from Ronin. It's super easy, less than 5 minutes to do. The loot are the Trousers of the Arakoa and Pendant of Shadow to look forward to. That then takes you to Gundrak, or Gundrak. Because I almost did like a Star Wars thing with the Gundarks. Great. Level requirement is 73. LFG is 74. It's in Zuldrak. There's 2 or 3 quests, one of a kind that you'll get from Chronicler Bikini. Then you're gonna have to fly down and get just checking to Prosperity from a guy. It'll take you back to Bikini. So you get 2 of those quests. The third one is another several hours, so skip because, you know, we're wasting time here. The Arcane Focal Signet is a great piece of loot. It's a good ring to have. Then that opens up Ulduar, right? That's why we wanted a quest there. In Storm Peak, so we got Halls of Stone, 73. LFG is 75. Recommended level 77 to 79. So you kind of see where we're at here. The quest, everybody has to pick up the quest in order to start this thing. So it'll be one of those, don't start it without unless everybody's got it. Halls of Lightning is right after that, skipping pages. Level requirement 75, LFG 77. Now we're into the 78 and 80s. So this is kind of where we're at right now. This location's Caverns of Time, and there's 2 quests from, what did I say? Oh, Halls of Lightning, I'm sorry. So 77, Storm Peaks, 2 quests, but you need rep to pick these up from the Sons of Hodir. The loot on this one is Volkan's Hood. That'd be a great one for a caster to have. Then we bounce where I was reading the Kalina Strat home, because that's in Caverns of Time. Level requirement 75, LFG 77, recommended level is 78 and 80. And so we're getting at this point to where, you know, a few of these dungeons and stuff, we're like right there and getting ready for our raid. So there's 2 quests from Chromie in there. Then we bounce over to Oculus, level 75. LFG 77, so I'm hope we're guild dungeon running now. Recommended level 79 to 80. It's in Koldara. The struggle persists, and there's 3 other quests that follow up on the inside. Then we run over to Utgard Pinnacle. Again, we're at 75, LFG 77. 2 quests right outside there, Junk in My Trunk and Vengeance Be Mine. Then we end up with the Forge of Souls, level requirement 78, recommended level is 80, LFG level is 80. It's inside Icecrown Citadel. The Blood Boil Lancet for something to look forward to. It is 487 spell power, and Essence of Anger, which is 92 spell power, 45 hit, and 57 haste. Definitely, let's look for these items if you're a caster, guys. All right, so that is going to take me to, I'm going to take a stop, because what I originally thought, I thought there was item levels that were requirements in Wrath of the Lich King. I was wrong. I believe that actually comes out in a future expansion. where you couldn't do heroics if you were a certain item level. So we're going to skip right over to that, and we're going to talk about raiding. At first, the 10 and 25 man comes out, so you'll be hitting the Nexus right away. But when Trial of the Crusader releases, this is going to become 4 raids, because you're going to have 10 heroic, 25 and 25 heroic, and that'll crank you right into Ulduar. And it looks like I got a little note in there where it's like the 25 man heroic and Icecrown lasted for 46 days before victory. Definitely worth killing Algalon the Observer. And let's see here, then I got professions. And professions, as per usual, you have engineering. There'll be scopes, goggles, and sappers. Goggles being best in slot for most classes. However, what makes engineering unique is the ability to use the auction house and portal, the portable mailbox, and Jeeves repair and personal banking and wormholes. All right, so that's engineering in a nutshell. Definitely worth it for almost every class, almost every player alt, that because it's going to be really utilitarian. Then we're going to talk about blacksmithing, and I actually did some research on this where I thought it was like every crafting profession, tailoring, leatherworking, and blacksmithing would have this ability, but it's not. It's just blacksmithing. Blacksmithing has a unique ability that you get 2 additional gem slots on a pair of crafted bracers and gloves if you're a blacksmith, which the other classes don't have, and that's really pretty fantastic because now we're actually stacking some stats. So let's talk about jewel crafting. So jewel crafting, actually you get 3 gems with a 25% extra stat, and then so if you were a jewel crafter and a blacksmith and you combine those 2, you're talking about a huge amount of strength or whatever it is you were doing, because you get the benefits of both, and I think that is a great combination to get into. Let's see, and I didn't actually look in there, so somebody will have to tell me this in the blacksmithing if that is a plate only crafted wrist and glove, or is that if that's also mail, if that can be shaman hunter as well, or just plate. Will it affect intellect plate, or is that just straight warrior death knight plate? So yeah. Also, Wrath of the Lich King is going to introduce to you, it's going to introduce gathering professions that give bonuses, like skinning gives crit, mining gives health points, called toughness, it's a boost, and herbalism will give you attack power, spell power, or healing depending on the class or spec that you have with these professions. Great, so definitely something to look into. Obviously there in Wrath of the Lich King we're talking about inscription is going to be the new profession, which is going to take us into the talents that we'll show you here. So I actually found a pretty good spot. It was Wrath of the Lich King database that had a talent calculator, and there were some good things. So I'm obviously not going to be able to talk to every class about the talents. I'm going to speak specifically to the warlock class and kind of show you some things that are on that, and the glyphs. recommended glyphs. And I'm not going to say this is perfect because, you know, once the PTR comes out, which is not even close yet, but once it comes out, people are going to test this and min-max their shit, you know, for that. So this is just like, take it with a grain of salt. But I found it like really interesting. So this guy, and like I said, this is at Wrath of the Lich King database. This guy I thought was really cool. So one of the biggest things, I'm not touching on all of it because that would suck and it would really waste the video. Corruption is instant now. You don't have to worry about that. So improved corruption takes that spot right off the bat, increasing the damage of that. Then you have empowered corruption. So that is increasing the damage of your corruption based off of a percentage of your spell power. Another thing that changed really was Shadow Embrace. Instead of reducing the damage to everybody off of a boss or a target, this is now your Shadow Bolt and Haunt spells apply the Shadow Brace effect, increasing all shadow periodic damage dealt to the target by you by 4% or 5%, and reducing healing done to that target. Yeah, so that's great. Another thing is, because and I completely skipped over this, Haunt. Jesus, that's the spell we've been waiting forever, was Haunt. So if you're going Affliction, man, God bless, because that's awesome. So jumping through here, and this is the next thing I really want you to pay attention to. All right, so when you deal damage, eradication, when you deal damage with corruption, you have a 6% chance to increase your spell casting speed by 20%. I'm hoping that if you're going Affliction, that you're stacking the fuck out of haste. All right, so now it's increasing your spell casting speed by 20%, and so we don't have to worry about these extra buffs. But I mean, that's great. Pause it here, take a look at that. Really great. Everlasting Affliction is great. But like I said, okay, so when you deal damage with corruption, you're increasing your spell casting speed. That's freaking amazing, right? So you're already improved. You got Bane going on, reducing your casting Shadow Bolt, and then you have improved Shadow Bolt, I believe, right? That's improved Shadow Bolt, yeah. So giving you a buff on that. Plus now Ruin has been moved, and it's on 5 of there. They kind of like moved these two around. So it's not great. You're not getting 100% anyway, so you might as well just do that. Another thing that I noticed was there isn't a demonic sacrifice anymore, so you're gonna end up playing with your pets. And that's like really cool. Like as you see here, your Inspire Bolt spell by 100% every time it crits. And believe it or not, there is a time when it crits. So here we're looking at the Shadow. Yeah, this is the Shadow. This is a Fire Warlock. So you're coming through here, and you got your backlash now off of your intensity. Now this is moved up, so you have it has a 25% chance when hit by a physical attack to reduce, just like it is in TBC. One of the biggest things that I noticed was your empowered imp. So if you're buffing your imp, and this might be something to go into too, reducing the imp's firebolt. If you're buffing your imp, increasing the damage done by your imp by 30%, and all critical hits done by your imp have a 100% chance to increase your spell critical hit chance for your next spell by 100%. And this is going to tie hugely into why you're using your Chaos Bolt. Obviously, Havoc isn't a factor in this expansion, so most of the things that you can do are just amazing. All the rest of them are buffs. Your Shadow Bolt, Shadow Burn, and Incinerate spells gain 20%. Your Soul Leech, this is a good one to get into because it is restoring mana to your demon. And if you are running with your improved imp and he's casting your firebolts and stuff, you know how fast he's going to run out of mana. So Soul Leech is definitely important with that. And not just Soul Leech only does health, but improved Soul Leech for mana. Fire and Brimstone, your Incinerate and Chaos Bolt spells to targets afflicted by your Emulate, which is why we only went to Immolate, because I could care less about the Conflagrate spell. We're not running on pure fire here. Some of the glyphs we can look at. Glyph of Incinerate, increase the damage done by Incinerate by 5%. Some Conflagrate, your Conflagrate spell no longer consumes Immolate or Shadow Flame spell on the target. Are we using that one? No, let's probably change it up. Great little tool here, right? So you can find all sorts of different things. So we can actually, let's just say for kicks, we're going to increase the damage our Imp's Firebolt spell by another 20%. So is this what we're running here? Let's kick it back here to your Demonology Warlock. Some things that changed is your stamina is only increased by 10% without the reduction of a spirit. There is a great fell synergy here where you're healing your pet for 15% of the damage done by you, which correlates actually to your mana feed. So every time you life tap, that's important. Every time you life tap, he is basically getting 100% of that mana as well. What I thought was really cool about this one is you're still coming all the way down to Felguard, but Metamorphosis. So, oh my god, I couldn't believe this spell when this is like the time that Warlocks actually took over the world. I mean, using this spell on any boss fight is huge. And actually, and I believe, and this might change, but I believe there is no threat on this one at all. So that's just, you're just kind of working your way down here. You are buffing the shit out of your pets all the way down here. Felguard, blah, blah, blah. Demonic Pack, and then Metamorphosis. If you're Demonology, and you probably will be at this point, this is definitely what you want, because this is gonna be, this is God making material here. So and then as a side note, you can actually go into what's going on over here. But yeah, if you're gonna improve corruption and get some of these deals, it's a win-win. Let's see what we got here. This is something neat too that I want to kind of touch on, which actually correlates, and I did it on this one. So remember we were talking about when you deal damage with corruption, you have a 6% chance to increase your spell casting speed by 20%. You tie this one into Molten Core, and increases the duration of your Immolate by another 9 seconds. And you have a 12% chance to gain Molten Core effect when your corruption deals damage. So you got two pieces going on here. When the Molten Core effect happens, sorry I missed it, your next 3 incinerates are increased by the damage done by 18% and the reduced cast time of 30%, and you're adding that into a 20% plus your haste already. You're talking about like, wow, it's kind of like blowing my mind here, how fast you're going to be cast, because you're going to be stacked on haste anyway. So definitely when you're playing with your glyphs, your minors aren't going to change. These are going to be your minors, but like Quick Decay, your haste now reduces the time between periodic damage takes of your corruption spell. Your Immolate increasing your immolate, because obviously if you're going to be running this one, we're not going to be running into here. And your incinerate, increasing the damage done by your incinerate. And this is just a pure fire lock, almost like we have a shadow lock nowadays. And this is a hybrid one, so there's not going to be many players playing this one anyway. So yeah, I mean, I definitely recommend that if you're gonna do Shadow Fire, you know, definitely jump into here. Like I said, there's no demonic sacrifice, so you're not gonna get buffs into that. It's just depending on like how fast you want to go to. You know, this is a full of 1655 on this one. This is a 2015. This is most likely what I'm going to be running. But you know, you got the demonology one and you got your affliction one, and like I said, haunt, dude. I mean, are you serious? Fucking haunt. Metamorphosis, fuck, dude. I mean, this is your jam. This is what everybody's been waiting for forever. This is where warlocks can finally be crowned kings of Icecrown Citadel. You might as well just give me your freaking helmet. Helmet of domination. So, I mean, and the great thing about this, right, is, and I never touched on that. We touched on glyphs, we touched on talents. One thing that I completely spaced on was dual talents. Wrath of the Lich King is not only known for, wow, they opened up a barbershop, so now you can actually change your freaking pink haircut, Lifesbane, and fix that, but they brought dual talents, so you can actually be a warlock tank if your guild is needing that one, or you can be your affliction lock, demonology lock. So you're running a PvP PvE build, and you can be your you know, it just opens up so many possibilities, and I'm not even going to go into all of them. So, and I think that is actually going to wrap this video up.